Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Let's rewind not so long ago. Sean Diddy Combs was a fixture at the Met Gala, a titan of hip hop and luxury brands. But now, he's waking up behind bars at the Federal Correctional Institution, Fort Dix, in New Jersey, convicted on 2 serious federal counts. How did we get here? It wasn't a single scandal, but a slow burn. Years of allegations, investigations, and finally, jury conviction for transporting individuals across state lines for prostitution. The shockwaves are still rippling. Remember, every federal case is a chess match. Prosecutors marshal their evidence. Defense teams wage war. And the public ponders, is this justice or spectacle? For Diddy, the answer is increasingly personal, and the stakes keep rising. What does daily life look like for a superstar in a federal facility? Fort Dix isn't a country club. It's regimented, monitored, and designed for control. Diddy's assigned to the chapel detail, a sought-after work post for its relative calm, and he's enrolled in the RDAP, or Residential Drug Abuse Program. Now, RDAP is a game changer. Successful completion can knock months off a sentence. But don't picture spa days, think group therapy, urine tests, and strict behavioral requirements. It's a microcosm of the larger prison ecosystem where privileges are currency and any mistake, however minor, can change everything. Every day's a negotiation between hope and hard reality. Here's an underappreciated fact. Communication is the lifeline for inmates, but also the biggest security vulnerability for prisons. In federal facilities, every call is tracked, logged, and recorded using monitoring technology like Securus or GTL. Imagine your every word being scrutinized for coded messages or illicit plans. Calls are limited sometimes to just 15 minutes and only permitted to pre-approved numbers. For Diddy, used to unlimited access and instant communication, this is culture shock in high definition. One wrong move on the phone and the consequences can spiral. That brings us to the infamous 3-way call. Let's get technical. A 3-way call in prison means someone outside dials a third party into your conversation. Sounds harmless, right? But this circumvents call monitoring. Think of it as jailbreaking the system's firewall. Federal prisons strictly prohibit 3-way calls because they let inmates dodge oversight, passing unvetted information, organizing contraband, or contacting witnesses. Sources say Diddy's team claims it was an attorney-client call, a protected legal right. But prison officials reportedly flagged it as a violation. What's at risk? Loss of privileges, disciplinary write-ups, and most crucially, forfeiture of good time credits that can shave months off a sentence. That's the real gravity of a single call. Now, you might be thinking, but don't inmates have a right to legal counsel? Absolutely, attorney. Client privilege is a cornerstone of the justice system. But here's the conflict. Security staff can't always verify the identities on a call, especially if a third party's involved. The law protects confidential legal communication, but prison policy trumps all when security is at risk. In high-profile cases, blurred lines cause tension, attorneys argue for access, wardens enforce protocol. The result? Even a legitimate call can spark disciplinary action. For Diddy, it's a tightrope fight for his legal rights, or risk losing privileges that shape his everyday life. Let me tell you a story. In federal prison, privileges are like oxygen. Phone time, visitation, even better job assignments. These can be suspended for minor violations. But the real leverage is good time credit, a statutory incentive for good behavior, calculated at up to 54 days off per year. For someone serving 50 months, that's a potential reduction of more than 7 months. Say Diddy loses just a single chunk of good time, he could be looking at an extra season behind bars. And here's the kicker: once staff record a rule infraction, it's hard to appeal, especially for high profile inmates under relentless scrutiny. The smallest slip can cast a long shadow. Let's zoom out. What's the public's reaction to Diddy's predicament? Some argue the system's making an example out of him. See? Not even celebrities are above the rules. Others say he's benefited from privilege for too long and reality's finally caught up. It's a tug of war between schadenfreude and skepticism. Social media lights up with memes, but legal experts debate: does high profile mean harsher consequences or simply more attention to everyday infractions? This three-way call's become a microcosm of the larger argument over accountability, equality, and the enduring influence of celebrity in the justice system. Here's the twist: prison isn't the only battle Diddy's fighting. Civil lawsuits and ongoing investigations are churning outside, and every move inside those walls is scrutinized by judges and prosecutors. A rule infraction, even a minor one, can be weaponized. He's non-compliant, Your Honor. Take the term recidivism. It measures the likelihood of reoffending. Prosecutors can argue that bending internal rules signals a pattern of disregard for the law. That's why a single phone call can echo through parole hearings, civil depositions, and even future business negotiations. In this game, perception is as critical as the facts. So, how does discipline actually work behind bars? Infractions trigger a formal process: incident reports, staff investigations, hearings before a disciplinary committee. Think of it as a courtroom in miniature. Inmates can contest charges, but most cases end with some penalty: loss of commissary, phone, or visitation for weeks or months. For those in programs like RDAP, even a single infraction can mean disqualification or release delays. The psychological impact: isolation, frustration, and a sense that every step is watched. For Diddy, this process isn't just punitive, it's a roadblock on the path to early release and a return to public life. So, what does it all mean? One unauthorized call, a handful of disciplinary points, and suddenly the arc of a superstar's redemption is in question. If you're listening and thinking this is just about punishment, think again. It's about power: who has it, how it's regulated, and what happens when fame collides with bureaucracy. The same man who once dictated trends now has to ask permission for a phone call. Can he forge a new identity, one built on accountability instead of bravado? That's the narrative to watch, because in federal prison, every choice writes a line in your story. For Diddy, the next chapter could hinge on a single decision. To wrap up, in the world of federal corrections, no one is immune. Celebrity only amplifies scrutiny. Whether or not Diddy's three-way call was a calculated risk or a simple misstep, it's a stark reminder. Rules exist for a reason, and every privilege is earned, not owed. Now you might ask, does fame hurt or help behind bars? The answer depends on perspective, but one thing's clear: the public, the courts, and the system are all watching. This saga isn't over. As Diddy navigates the labyrinth of prison discipline and legal fallout, he stands as a living lesson in how quickly fortunes can change, and how every act, however small, can shape a legacy.